I closed escrow on the sale of a property, and I think it's gonna be a memorable one. At least for now, it's one of the most memorable ones. When I initially reached out to the seller, I was told not to call back. I got cussed out. I was told that my number was going to be blocked, and there was a lot of moving parts to that property. And I understand that the seller was frustrated, and that was their automatic response over the phone. But I sensed that they were missing out on something. I knew they were missing out on something, so I persisted. And I reached out to the attorney, because this was a probate, it was a reverse mortgage in the auction stage of foreclosure. And I left the attorney a voicemail message, and about 3 weeks or a month later, I got a voicemail from the attorney where they asked, they refreshed my memory about the voicemail that I had left, and I ended up getting that listing. The lesson there was, to be persistent, and when you want to help somebody, right? And it'll pay off. The property was a fixer-upper. It had been vacant for, I don't know, months, several months, or it could have been a year. It was vacant for quite a while, and it had been broken into, vandalized, and it was, a type of sale where it was not financeable. I ended up going into escrow with a buyer that had a hidden agenda. I'm usually pretty good with being able to catch people who are sketchy, right? But I got misled. This buyer got creative, and I ended up going into escrow with a buyer who had intentions of making a profit before closing on it, right? So they were looking for a buyer, and they wanted to sell it for a profit before funding it. That escrow didn't work out. It was a waste of time, and I was in a hurry. This is in the foreclosure stage. It got an auction date, and had to move on, right? So that was the first hurdle. And then the second hurdle, we went into escrow with the second buyer. And with the second buyer, things were going well. They were performing, although the thieves that had broken in there before decided to come back for the electrical system. They took the copper. They took the AC condenser unit. Before that, they had already taken the water well pumps, but they continued to break in. And of course, the buyer was upset, right? They had taken a look at the property in a certain condition, and then they came back a second time before funding it, and it wasn't in the same condition that they had seen it. So they were upset, and of course, the seller was upset as well. Although, with all that said, it ended up closing. And one of the things, I've been practicing for about going more than 15 years, going on 16 years, and I've seen a lot of scenarios, and I could say that I'm still learning. There's always new things that I come across. This field, this practice, right, is one that we don't stop learning, right? There's always new things to learn. But I've come across sellers that will say something like, I'm speaking to them on the phone, or I approach them about a possible sale, and they'll say something like, I've got a buyer already, and I can do this for sale by owner. You know what? There is transactions where they're flawless. There's no problems, but I would say it does pay off to you save a lot of grief. You net a higher amount. You save yourself a lot of time when you hire a professional. So it's true, don't go into things. You can come across a lot of problems trying to do things on your own. That's my thought.